Thank you for joining CU Bands and Fans podcast. Our podcast is brought to you by Homegrown KIO. Homegrown KIO is on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. It is a stellar show featuring the great songs that have come from bands originating in Champaign-Urbana. Listen at 107.9 on your FM dial, at 1079wkio.com, or ask Alexa to play WKIO. Hello, it's Terry with CU Bands and Fans podcast, where musicians tell their story, and we're very excited to have our guest, Michael Guido Esteves, with us today. And we've got a lot to talk about with Guido, as he's called. That's his nickname.
Yeah, I've had a nickname since I was 13.
Oh
It
my,
just it almost died when I moved to Champaign, but then the second year I lived here, I lived with one of my roommates' name was Mike, and so my Chicago friends like, hey, is Mike there? Which one? Guido. And then once I started playing, it really kind of cemented at that point.
it's stuck. Yeah, that's all I've known you as. And you have so much going on and moving. It's a constant thing. So like, let me just say this, like there's a fundraiser coming up. Well, it's actually an event. It's Guido's birthday, and it's going to be at the Cowboy Monkey.
Oh,
And
apparently it's just a monkey, I think. Or no, it's either I gotta remember, it's either just cowboy or just monkey. I gotta find out for sure, but be aware.
so
Anyway, the old cowboy
just,
monkey.
but they're reopening. Let's talk about this event, your birthday event, and how that's also going to be a quick, kind of a very quick fundraiser also for Ian Shepherd, who has been recently diagnosed with cancer, right?
Correct. So we'll do the bad before the story. Yeah, originally it's my birthday party, so I am gonna do what I normally do, which is to be a birthday jam. It's pretty much just a jam session with a bunch of my friends. So you'll have, of course, I'm a 90s daughter, so we're gonna be doing all those people are there, plus Larry Gates, Brandon Washington, Mike Ingram, Brother Embassy. Basically, my old band Sick Day is gonna be in town that weekend. So this is just me kind of getting a chance to jam with him. I'm turning 50. So this is my 50th birthday party. And I want all my musician friends in a room, and we're just gonna jam and have a great time. And what's great about being at the place formerly known as Cowboy Monkey, that's where I used to host my jams before it closed. And I don't know, it was something I've always done. So it's nice to come back to that room. We're kicking it off. So it's my 50th birthday party. It's like, hey, look, it's reopening and there's music. So unfortunately, our drummer from 90s daughter, Ian Shepherd, like you said, is diagnosed with cancer and has some surgeries. So I'm going to turn this into one of the first of many fundraisers. And since there's no cover, we're going to be taking donations at the door. We'll be doing a 50-50. And then whatever the club was going to pay the musicians, that's all going to Ian. And this is all about doing something short term for him before things roll around. We don't want him to worry. We want him to heal and just worry about that. So yeah, the goal is just to raise, a couple grand to kind of not worry about the next month.
Yeah. So it's just like, yeah, kind of like a instant, here we go, like as fast as we can. Here's what we got. And because he was just diagnosed, right? Like last week or something.
Yeah, it was very fast. Basically, he thought he had some bad chicken, which is the running joke.
I read that.
And yeah, it was, and so he went to convenient care and they're like, go to ER. And there's like, hey, you got a blockage. And then while they were in there, like, here, it's a big blockage. It's cancerous. So it was very fast. And so right now he's had surgery. He's recovering right now, just in a lot of pain. But I got to tell you, he's in very good spirits. We actually have to like not laugh as he laughs, he hurts. And so,
Yeah.
but all the music fams there. His family's in town now, so it is just a hurry up and wait. And all we can do now is just kind of, start the GoFundMe, start doing shows, and be there for him when he needs stuff.
Yeah. And supporting him. Ian is awesome. We've had him on our podcast, and I have always loved Ian, always. And,
Well,
and every,
we've been playing together for 30 years. Him, Tom. So
yeah,
definitely it's kind of it's definitely hitting A lot of us, pretty hard.
Close, close. So were you in Brat Pack?
Yes, I was one of the original members in Brat Pack. It started with Ian and Tom were like, hey, we were all playing original bands. That's all we really knew. And Tom and Ian were like, hey, let's do something that'll make some money. And then it was originally going to be like a college rock band. And at the time, COs had Time Warp Tuesdays and it was 80s music, Lying Down the Block. And Ian was like, what about 80s? And that was it, man. Brat Pack.
That thing took off like crazy.
Still going, man. Still going.
Yes.
I almost got to do a Brat Pack gig this summer, but it didn't work out for the scheduling. But I was so excited. But no, the be to be a part of something like that that's been going for so long. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy, but it's so good, I mean, it's maintained its original the original foundation of, why they started it or doing the 80s, and it's so active. It's one of the most active, entertaining bands that we
Oh
have.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they've been one of the best 80s bands in the Midwest for decades. So that's a testament to how good they are and song selections and their performances. I mean, every time I go to the Brat Pack, I'm just gut laughing the whole time. I mean, it's for me, it's just, I wish I could go see them more often.
Yeah, it's craziness. And then so you went from that. But what did you do before this? Where did you live before you came to Champaign?
I grew up on the south side of Chicago till I was about 19. I tried college downtown at Columbia, and I loved the college, but now as an adult, I realized I just hated the commute, the bus in the winter. And so then at the time, I didn't know what to do because I was like, I want to be a musician, but I didn't know how to do it. I started playing in bar bands when I was in high school. I got pretty lucky. But then, those guys all went off to college, and I was like, now what? And then at the time, my girlfriend was moving down to Champaign. And at the time, Champaign was the next Seattle. A whole bunch of local bands had got inside the major labels. It was Hum and like they're called all the H bands, but
Yeah.
Menthol, which was Mother at the time. All these bands, Moon Seven Times had a deal with Roadrunner. So, Champaign was being mentioned in Rolling Stone. So I was like, man, it's 2 hours away. Perfect. And so I came down here with just really just the thought of like getting a job and trying to be a musician.
And you did it.
Well, it was crazy because when I grew up, it was, my parents, as I'm a parent now, I understand, was like, hey, do something solid. And I was like, I don't know, man, this is just the only thing I want to do. And so for me, moving away was just kind of like, let me try this. If I fail, whatever. But it was, it's so funny. Like I literally, it was a week. I drove down here. I was like, cool, let's do it. Came home and said, hey, mom, dad, move to Champaign. A week later, put my stuff in a car and just left. It was like a week or two because they were just like, what's going on? And I was, so, and then, I just I fell in love with Champaign. It was great because back in the old days, you could live super cheap. You can get a bunch of dudes and get some old crappy house and like live for nothing and be a musician. And
Yeah.
so, especially there was just so many places to play. And it was I really found myself enjoying the kind of laid back scene, but Champaign was special because I felt it still had all the good stuff from the city without any of the traffic or any of that crap.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's perfect. And the live music then was, it just like
Well,
just everywhere. Everywhere.
Terry, I've seen it go up and down and up and down. Like, when I first started, there weren't a ton of places to play. It was like Mabel's and then the Blind Pig, which is now Monkey or whatever they're calling it. But like, I remember making bars have bands, sitting outside of like what was then it was the library or like just going, hey, have us play. And that's kind of what we all did in our little scene, Third Stone and back with Brad Washington, Solstice, and we made places to play. And then there was the downtown boom. We had Mike and Molly's, Memphis on Main, Cowboy Monkey. There was just like you would just go out, not knowing who was playing, and like, oh, cool, I'll catch the happy hour show at City New Orleans, and I'm gonna run over this for this, and I'm gonna go catch. I mean, so in that respect, it was wonderful because for like a good, 10, 15 years, it was there was all these musicians everywhere and everyone was just playing. And you just, if you weren't playing, you were watching someone else play. So it was a
Yeah.
great place to kind of cut my teeth, man. I owe so much to making that decision to move here.
Yeah. Well, and thank God you did. And now this music community and family is so big and so close. I think that our music community is probably one of the best, as far as like how we treat one another, how you all treat one another, and the respect for each other, is like next to none,
You know,
you know?
we're lucky that we get a lot of musicians coming through and a lot of musicians I work with. I was just talking to Scott Hines from Royal Hounds, and he's always talking about how like I've traveled the world and like the community we have here is amazing. Don't get me wrong, we're all competing against each other. That's part of it.
Yeah.
We push each other though. But I mean, stuff like like I said, when Ian goes down, all of a sudden everyone's like, nope, but we're supportive, man. It's a great place to, it was just I feel like I couldn't have done all the things I do if I was somewhere else. And it's because of that crew, all these people like, Mike Ingram and people who would push music and like even as now that we're getting older, there's a bunch of us teaching, there's a bunch of us doing rock camps all over the place, whether it's First Gig or FYM or Girls Rock CU. All the older musicians are really involved with the younger musicians. I mean, all of us. So you just don't see that in a town our size.
Right. Yeah, which reminds me, First Gig Rock and Roll Camp. You're very involved in that as well. That was another thing I'm like, okay. Yeah. So when did you get involved with First Gig Rock and Roll Camp?
Since the day one. I was Peter Blackman, which Peter Blackman, my oldest friends, Portal Entertainment. He called me up, and I happened to be on the way home from a gig. It was an early gig. It was a weird time. I remember it was like around midnight or something. And he's like, we started, what about rock camp for kids? I'm like, I've been one because I saw the School of Rock documentary, and
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, because I've always taught individual lessons, but I was like, wait, I know how to teach. I was like, I could teach someone how to start a band. I'm like, all I know how to do. So I actually looked into the franchising, but at the time I was like, they're like, hey, you need 100 grand, and I was like, oh, 100 grand. Anyway, so yeah, Pete called me up. He's like, dude, rock camp for kids. I'm like, I'm in. I've got ideas. Hell yeah. And then that led to calling Tom Grassman and Jeff Markland, and we talked to who's now my supervisor at Danville Area Community College, Laura Henskin, and pitched her idea. And she's like, "Yeah, let's totally try it." To four knuckleheads with an idea for a camp. Uh, so yeah, so we did that. We did, it was funny. The first year, Pete thought he was hoping for 50 kids, and if we would have had 50 kids, we wouldn't be talking today about First Gig Rock Camp. But it was slow, but it worked out great. And like I said, now it's been over 10 years, and we're in 3 different towns, and it's yeah, and honestly it taught me that I could teach more than just being a bass or guitar teacher.
Yeah. So it's Champaign, Danville, and Decatur.
Uh-huh.
It's every summer. Um,
Correct.
and sign up has began now,
It
right?
should be opening up hopefully by the time you post this. Everything will be at firstgigrockcamp.com or on our various Facebook pages. But yeah, I think registration should be up very shortly.
And we know some musicians that are playing now that came out of First Gig Rock and Roll Camp, like Miles Jones
Well,
and
I'll tell you, those you're about to say Emma Lacefield.
yes.
That's what's blown my mind is that now they're playing. I mean, Emma and Miles are in my new rock band with Brat Pack bass player David Ward. It's called Project M. It's an original, just rock and roll act. But I mean, I'm in bands with these kids now. Like, so we just did a show called Red Hot Winter. I had like 3 rock camp kids, 1 Danville Area Community College graduates, and then I had 4 Danville Area Community College kids who was their first show. So like it's now hitting to a point where I've done a lot of shows with, and they're coming back to teach now. So, Miles was a director, man. So yeah, this is it's something I don't know, maybe in the back of my mind, but I never envisioned what's going on now. And it's kind of just, it's so rewarding. It gets overwhelming sometimes. You're just like, wow, I had a piece of these
Yeah, a
kids.
part of that, I helped launch this, and
Yeah.
and the respect. And what I noticed when we because we had them play at our event once, like the first gig rock and roll camp kids, and it was the band that Miles and Emma were in. I can't remember the name of it at this point.
Heyday.
Yes, Heyday. And the respect that they have, and just their manners, their stage presence, all of that is just duly noted. These kids that come out of that camp are just they're wonderful people. And I'm sure that they're taught it, because the whole census, or the whole consensus of doing this, is teaching them how to be a band. Is that right?
Yeah, and that's beyond music. It's how you treat people, like you said. It's how, be nice to the sound guy. Make sure you learn his name. It's really important to know the sound guy's name. If you don't do all those things, you don't get asked back to clubs. You don't get asked to be back in bands. Pete's always big preaching about be nice. And, especially as someone now who hires so many musicians, it's huge. It's, if you do those, talent is not enough, because there's a 6-year-old kid somewhere who can probably play me under the table.
Uh-huh.
So
Yes.
you can't rely on just being really, really good. You got to be easy to, you want the callback. You want them to go, "Oh my God, I worked with them at one time. Oh my God, aren't they cool? Oh my God, they are totally cool." That is that's huge. That's what gets you the gig. So, we talk about it and we try to preach it. That's the most important thing. It's just you gotta be cool.
Is key. Communication and engaging
Yeah.
is engaging with that person that's getting ready to hire you, and engaging with the people that are doing the sound and doing the lights and all of that. And they come out of that camp very well mannered and very well. It's spot on. I did notice that about every single kid that comes out of that camp.
Well,
And
nothing travels faster than bad news. That guy's a jerk. I mean,
oh yeah,
yeah.
that's a fact. So that is that so yeah, huge plug for it's called First Gig Rock and Roll Camp. It's on Facebook. It's on the web. In the website, you can find the schedule and when things are happening and when you can sign up. And if you need to talk to anybody, communicate anything about First Gig Rock and Roll Camp, you can reach out to Guido or Pete Blackman or Tom Grassman, or uh so who can they reach out to? I know you,
Well,
Tom.
really, it's just, if you just first gay
Doug's
rock,
still.
if you go to firstgayrockham.com, there's links there. If you search us up on Facebook, we're all over the place. So really, we're everywhere. It's really easy to find. Type us into a computer screen and we'll pop up.
And they will respond. You will
Oh
get
yeah,
answers. They're not going to
absolutely.
leave you hanging. So, okay, so let's move on from that. And there's so much. I'm telling you, Guido is. I knew, I was like, I'll do this podcast. We got a lot of points to hit. Let's move on to that. And I want to talk about Red Hot Winter after this, but
Okay.
let's talk about 90s daughter.
90s daughter.
90s daughter.
Yeah, well, it's that story's funny because it was just well, so Tom and I were in the Brat Pack at the time, and we were kind of transitioning to more private parties, less bars, which were giving us some open nights. And so we played a band called Live Karaoke Band, which is karaoke with a band. We were playing the Days Inn on a Wednesday in Danville. Amy shows up and we hear her sing, and it was like, wow. And we didn't even talk that much that night. She mostly talked to Jeff, but I made a note. And then the
Wait a
second
second.
time,
Wait a
what was
second.
that?
He's talking about Amy Mitchell, who is
Amy
now his.
Mitchell. Oh yeah, now my wife. So Lisa and 90's daughter. And so the second time she came, we asked her to do this live karaoke band all-star show. And then after that, I was in a band with Mike Bray, who had just left for LA.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so it was called Breathe. And I was like, hey, I'm looking for a singer and I think you'd be great. So it was her, me, Chuck Appleby of what's Kelly's band? Kelly Morris's band. Sun Stereo.
Yeah, Sunster.
Uh, and then Seth Anders, sax player, And Jason Barham, he was the first third string drummer, but ended up being the first 90s daughter drummer. Anyway, so I showed Tom a board tape. We are coming home from a gig, and I was like, dude, check this girl out. He's like, man. And I was like, dude, it's 90s band. It'd be fun because we love 90s. It's all grunge stuff. Because originally that was 90s daughter was just 90s music. And so I texted Amy and I texted Jason Barham, like, hey, we're gonna start this band. I texted Murph over at Mike and Molly's and I said, hey, I'd like to book this date. And so we literally started the band on the ride home from a gig. True
That's
story.
fantastic. And your first gig then was at Mike
Mike
and
and
Molly?
Molly's, there were about like 25 people there, I think. We played some really short sets. We didn't have a lot of songs. And then, because it was never meant to be the main band, this was supposed to be fun. And then Tom quit Brat Pack, Tom Grassman. And then I followed suit soon afterwards. And we tried to turn 90s Daughter into our main band. But we found out that, in bars and stuff, it's always good to have a dance band. And people don't dance to grunge. And so we're playing all this angry rock music and it was not working. And so that way we started incorporating more dance stuff. And then we were just like, let's just play music that people who grew up in the 90s will like. Let's just open it because I love as much as I love the Brat Pack, you had to play 80s. And
Yes.
so it was a chance for us to go, let's just play what works. Let's play what our strengths were. And so, that was 90s Daughter. We just started slugging it out at the bars and boom, now we're still together and still rocking.
Still rocking. And one of the most popular bands in Champaign-Urbana. I mean, everybody knows 90s Daughter, and everybody knows if you guys are playing, we're going to be dancing. You
Well,
guys,
at the very least, I know that our brand is we're going to sound really good and we're party band, and that's what we're trying to do. We wanted to be what made Brat Pack so successful was a party band, and I'm like, that's what works. That and for us, now that we transition to mostly private parties and festivals, that's what still works. There's a value to a band that can show up and play songs that sound good, that that you like.
yeah. And that it gets people moving.
Hmm.
I've not ever been to a 90s Daughter show where the dance floor wasn't full and
Mission
people
accomplished.
always have a good time. Always, always, always have a good time there. Always. And that's important in live music. It's really important for people to get out and just have a good time, be stress free, and not be fighting with anyone, and just everybody has fun together too.
You
You cannot
know,
know someone and be like, yeah, you know that's
so I just did an interview before this, and someone asked me about what makes a good show or a good musician. I'm like, having fun. Like if you're enjoying yourself, our goal is just like what you said. It's like, I got you for 2 hours. For 2 hours, you're gonna have a good time and you're not gonna worry about any of the crap that you came in here with, and that's really our job. That is
yeah.
that is our job. And
And
so, it's good to know that we have a reputation of going, yeah, you're gonna have a good time.
yep. Yeah, everybody knows it. If they're going to go to a 90s Daughter show, they're going to be dancing, they're going to be having fun with everyone else. And so that brings me to Amy, which
Dun, dun,
you proposed
dun.
to Amy at the Cowboy Monkey,
Hmm.
actually. Um, and you two got married. How long has it been now?
Many, many, many years. We're gonna just about to hit our 10th year anniversary.
That's hard to believe 10 years it went that fast. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, that I still that I love. So I love my anniversary show story because it's like probably the most romantic thing I've ever done in my life. So I guess a good one to, but so no, it was very special. And again, just we had a bunch of horn players, all the musicians were down in town. So what
The
a great night.
song, the song that you chose was what was that
Oh,
song? All you need is
all you need is love.
yeah, all you need is
So
love.
I stole it from oh, what was that? What's the Christmas movie? It's an English Christmas movie, but I'm totally blanking now. But in the movie, it's a wedding, and the best man they start playing "All You Need Is Love," and the best man hires all these horn players to just jump out of the audience.
Oh
And,
wow.
and so what I did was we're on stage. I'm like, Amy, close your eyes, and I had John Jansky painting of us, and then Andy Marian started singing the song, and it was so packed, the horn players couldn't get to the stage, so they jumped up on the bar. And also, I had her whole family there, so they passed out all these candles. So when she opened her eyes, the whole crowd and her family are all there with candles. And I'm sitting there with the ring and the John Jansky painting. And here you go. And she snatched that ring out of my hand so fast, it was like a cartoon. And then and she starts crying, and then all of a sudden she's not looking up. I'm like, look, look, candles, pilgrims. And I'm like, look up. She was, it's like, look at all the stuff I did. And it was, I don't know, it was definitely a moment I'll never, ever, ever, ever forget.
Yeah, we were there, and it was the coolest, one of the coolest things that we had seen. It was really, really cool. And she did cry a lot. I remember the horn players jumping up on the bar. I thought that was really awesome too. So you guys got married, and you continued in 90s Daughter. And I'm gonna say this about Amy, because Amy, you are both very involved in Red Hot Winter, which we just had. Red Hot Winter just completed. Was that last weekend? Weekend before last?
Yes, it was a week ago, but I haven't had a day off till yesterday. So
I see. I'm like, I don't know how he's doing it, but
I couldn't help it. It was crazy because we ended up playing the next day after Red Hot Winter, which is like a 6 day long. We're going 12, 16-hour days. But I had a gig. I had to produce a Black History Month with one of my buddies, A Train from Kilbourne Alley. Oh my God, that was so fun.
yeah.
So yeah, I got to rest yesterday though, so kind of it's getting there.
That's good, because yeah, you're just constantly on the go. But so Red Hot Winter. First of all, let me just say this about Amy. Amy's vocals are just
second to none.
They really are superior.
You can see why you could hear her sing and go, I think I want to put her in a band.
She belongs almost like in that kind of performance atmosphere, because it truly is a performance, and she can belt those songs out just with no mistakes at all.
Well, it's like she can sing a song you may like I'm not saying better than the artist, but I think she puts her own spin and it's really, really good. So there's a lot of people who be like, wow, I like her version.
Yeah.
Just as well as I like the original.
So how did you two, or as a matter of fact, it's almost all of 90s Daughter band that's involved in Red Hot Winter. How did it go from you guys being the Red Hot Winter band, like the bass Red Hot Winter band, and then you are the director of
music director, yes.
The music director. How did this transform into that, and what's your like, your feeling on doing this
well, hey, I love it, but it really started kind of slowly. So Rod asked 90s Daughter to be in Red Hot, and and Rod's such a great marketer. I'd heard of it, I'd seen billboards, had no idea what it was. No idea, but I'd heard of it and I'd heard of him. And so he invited us to see a show, and I saw the show and I was like, this is awesome. Like, and back then it was at Jupiter's, and it was more like he had stuff, he had dancers, he had like full band show up and go back and forth. So I did a year of that. And after the first year, I noticed like the backstage area, there was kind of no one there doing that, and they weren't sharing gear. And so Rod asked me, hey, would you want to help me out with this? I'm like, yes, I have a bunch of ideas. So I think I did that for a year or two. And then I was like, Rod, you could change it up. And if you had a house band, you could actually get more singers and, do different things. And so we 90s Daughter plus Dr. Dave Hardy, we kind of became the base of that. And that was when Stefan was in the band. And then it kind of started. That was the core though. And we still Rod was in Johnny May. So they were involved too. And then it just kind of blew up after that. So after we had the house band, that's when it was like, okay, then we started the medleys. And then we just got more ambitious and more ambitious as we figured things out. And then we eventually outgrew Jupiter's. And really, once we went from Jupiter's, once we got to City Center, that's when it became like, okay. And then Rod added the circus acts, and and it just kind of really took. I've been doing it for a little over 10 years too, And yeah, it just it was a slow crawl into what it is now, which is just the circus. And musically, something all the musicians and myself have agreed, this has not only been the smoothest, tightest year, but the most ambitious. We did more songs in less time with more people. We had a six-piece horn section. I mean, it was
It was remarkable.
so it was a slow burn, but I couldn't be more prouder to what this show is. It's you can't get anything like this outside of Vegas.
Right, you can. And as far as like being the photographer for the past since 2016, from I too started when it was at Jupiter's, um, that the quality of the show went just
Yeah.
it increased. And it's like I don't know how he's gonna top next year. Um
I
and
feel like we did it though this year. I really feel like, well, that's always the sentiment is like, this is the top, this, can you keep doing it? Can you keep making people go, wow, how did you get it better and better and better? So we
Yeah,
try.
yeah. It was really a fantastic show. And those you guys start rehearsal. Oh God, what that Monday of that week, or do you?
Yeah, so well, something that helps. So okay, before for a while, a lot of the core band members were all living in Illinois. But after COVID, people went all over the place. Jeremy Harper, Sean Farbman, Shelly Nail, everyone just kind of disappeared. And so for a couple of years, we didn't have like an in-town rehearsal. And it gets really hard to do the first day where you're doing in-town rehearsal and you're sound checking. And Rod wants to go, here, the dancers are here. So this year, I managed to run most of the show in town. We had a one-day rehearsal at my house. And so when Monday came around, and because we have players from all over the country. So on Monday, when they all show up and I'm dealing with the gear and the lights and everything else, I already had kind of had the really, really hard stuff run through once. And it changed the game again. It made everything we were like, I just talked to Zach Sickler, Rod's son, who's a co-producer, and he's like, on Tuesday, we were like better than some Thursdays. So on top of it, this year was a little different. I felt like we just the musicians were so supportive. The people who were like brand new were very few and far between. So even most people had been there for at least like 2 years now. So it just made this great supportive group. And when you have
Yeah,
that many people with
yeah,
that big personalities, it's something. It's nice,
yeah. I because I was there on Monday for the rehearsal,
right?
and it's just like so. It was there wasn't as much. There was no confusion. It just seemed like things just kind of rolled a little smoother than in previous years. And I did record, I videoed you talking to the musicians and everything before you guys did your run through and all of that. And I really liked what you said because Rod's a real huge stickler, and rightfully so, about everybody being quiet. Don't be talking when you guys are doing your run through and all of that. And rightfully so. But what you said to the musicians and to everyone was, I know that some of you are reconnecting. You haven't seen each other in a while. So and it's a great time to reconnect. But I'm just going to ask you guys, go ahead. I know you want to talk to one another and you want to see each other, but go ahead and go over there to that side over there and do your reconnecting and all of that. And then it won't interrupt, and you can talk and all that. And I love that you said that because Red Hot Winter is a great time of reconnecting. It really,
Absolutely,
and you're so excited to see everybody that you haven't seen, for you're like Jeremy. Like I know, oh my God, Jeremy's gonna be there. I haven't seen
right.
Jeremy a year. And just like that. And then all you guys are reconnecting too. And so it's a great time of that, as well as yeah, we do have to do rehearsals. So I love the way that you were just very smooth and very I your whole intro to talking to the musicians was I loved it. I did video it.
Well,
So
thank you. Well, the cool part is that with these musicians, I don't have to micromanage. That involves a lot of trust. I can walk over and go, hey, did you know what you did wrong? No, yes. Oh, you got it. Cool. Then you got it. You got it next time. I trust you. Or hey, do you know what you did? You know, oh, let's count out. Are you in trouble with that? It's on the four. One, two, three, hit the chord. Okay, cool. We understand each other. Great. Or sometimes it's like, hey man, it's not flying, bro. Like you got are you confused? You know what's going on? Okay, well, you got to hit it. Or sometimes Rod's going, hey, cut 37 seconds off the show, Guido. And I have to go, well, that means a person.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So you don't want
uh,
to get to that point. Yeah.
but they're all pros and they get it and they understand that, I like they understand when I'm correcting them or if someone else gets really passionate about something, it's not personal. It's everyone wants this thing to sound really, really good. So no one's mad at anybody. It's no, that's because it's passion.
And
And
timing is crucial too, because like you guys get this thing down to like the second. I mean, it's not,
mhm,
it's no, you don't get that extra second. If you're going to take
mm-mm.
an extra second, you're going to be good. So you don't
Mhm.
like it's right down to timing.
Well, and sometimes there's sometimes Rod's like, I got to cut 10 minutes out of the show. And it's not that, so you have to go, hey, there's like 27 acts. Guess what? Now there's 26. And it doesn't mean that that 27th act wasn't good. It just might have been that it didn't fit in. Or it might have been that they just didn't work next to where he thought he were. So, it's
Yeah.
definitely the hardest part about my job is to kind of just be like, it is a business. It is, I did a Christmas show in Danville last December, and my own son, who was supposed to do the snare drum part, he said he had it. Rehearsal, he didn't have it. And I was like, guess what, kid? Tambourine over here.
Oh,
And he was cool. He was happy. And so the story was Steve was rocking that tambourine. But it's my job. What are you gonna
yeah.
do?
Yeah. And well, and it fits you. It fits you very well. Um, okay, so that brings us to what your current everyday job, which is at DACC. What do
Danville
you,
Area Community College.
yeah, what do you, how did you get into that, and what exactly do you do there?
Okay, so originally, so for a while, me and Rod Sickler and Zach Sickler, we owned a couple of bars, and
Okay, so you were partnership in some bars, and
yeah,
then
so they decided not to renew our lease, and I was like, well, now what's gonna be my old guy job? And I was something I'd never done. I tried school twice before. Last time I went to school at Parkland, is everyone I worked with had music degrees, so I went for 2 years at Parkland and just took all the music classes without any kind of idea of doing anything past just learning all this stuff. It was great. Going to that made me able, maybe from a good bass player to like a musician. I learned how to talk music. I learned how to, I just learned how it worked. And so once I felt I knew what I wanted to learn, I just kept playing. Anyway, so if I never finished my degree, it always bothered me. And so I was at a rock camp in Danville, and I was talking to my now boss, Laura Henskin, and I'm like, I'm thinking about going to college. She's like, well, wherever you go, you have to go to financial aid. So let me walk you over there and get started. So as I'm walking over, I'm like, hey man, isn't there some kind of stupid job I can do around here to try to get cheap or free school? And she's like, what do you know about video games? I'm like, a lot. And they were talking about starting an esports program. And so she's like, you think you can do it? And I was like, sure. And so they offered me a part-time job, which was enough for me to get free school. And then while I was over there, within a few weeks, I was like, I am a professional musician. And their music teacher at the time was on sabbatical and he was going to give up. He was only teaching pep band. So I talked them into letting myself and Steve Meadows take over the pep band.
Steve Meadows, yeah.
Yeah, and so who's now also another adjunct professor along with myself. Anyway, so I started working part-time, started esports, and then kind of just started doing stuff over there. I work in marketing, recruitment, community outreach. Most importantly, with the music and the esports, is I give kids scholarships. So, and in this case now, part-time jobs. So it's what started off as this thing where it was like, hey, I'm gonna get through school. So I finished my degree and that was the job I have now is why I went back to school. I wanted to give back. So something a lot of people don't know, but I was almost gonna be like a brother, like a priest, a brother. And yeah, because I love the job. And I did some high risk retreats. It's like these religious retreats in high school. I went to Catholic school.
Wow.
I really wanted to do the job, but I knew I wanted to get married and have kids. But the brothers are different than priests because they don't take a vow of poverty.
Celibacy. Yeah.
No, no,
Or
they do celibacy, but they can own stuff. They own how like the brothers owned like cars. They all lived in a house and like they taught. So it was like being a priest light. So that's why it was really close. I'm like, whoa, that sounds awesome. But but even then, like even if like, oh, I want to have a family, they're like, no, come try it. And they actually encourage you to have girlfriends. So they want you to know what you're giving up. So, short story long, it was a job I've always wanted to do because it was giving back. I'm like, wow, how rewarding. You could teach, you can do this stuff. And so I feel like at DAC, I get to do that. Don't get me wrong, I'm having the time of my life. Don't tell them, having the time of my life. But in the end all be all, like, for my kids, their first gig was Red Hot Winter. I'm like, they're getting free school and they're using their passions to do that, whether it's video games or music. So, and on the video game front, we just won our first national championship in Mario Kart last semester.
wow,
We're taking, oh, they got it pretty wild, huh? And then, so just like in music, I'm getting the pro stuff. In April, I'm taking a bunch of my kids to Vegas for a pro tournament. So, I feel like what I love about being at DAC is I'm never bored. And they really listen to my ideas. The president is in my pep band. I can come up with some ridiculous thing and I know I'm going to be hurt. And sometimes they have to go, that's not how the real world works, Guido. And I have to go, okay, which is a lot of our conversations is I'm used to working for myself. So I'm kind of like, wait, why can't I just do this? But so there's a lot they're always reining me in, and that's why I like them. Like, just tell me when I'm being ignorant because I don't
yeah.
know. I'm just like I'll walk into a room of like very smart people and just like go, but why don't we do it this way? So no, I'm very
I love
blessed, and
that.
and I get to still do my music. I'm always like, I mean, I'm almost 50 and I still have a music career. So like that still blows my mind. You
Yeah.
know, growing up my whole life, people telling me you couldn't do it. Can't do it. It's not going to work out. So I get to do both, and I kind of get to start my old guy job before I really need it. So I'm in this like little sweet spot right now where like I have a steady thing where I get to do lots of things, and I'm not bored. I'm pushed. I'm challenged. I feel I'm doing really good, and I still get to go play music at night and produce, and so yeah, it's very
Yeah.
blessed. Knock on wood.
Yeah. And I mean, because anybody that follows you can tell, I mean, you are always doing something, and whether
It,
it's with
it,
Night Starter or DAC or Red Hot Winter, which is once a year, but I know you start early with that. Um, are playing private events or setting things up or uh all of that. But let's talk real quick about a Project M. Wait a minute, Project M, right? Is that your band?
yes, that's my new fun. Like, well, so, one of the joys of having something during the days is I have some time to do my own music. And for a long time, I think the last like 10 years, I've spent my energies working on other people's music, whether playing for them, helping produce, or helping them write. Like, we did an album with Allie Brand and we were telling her stories.
Yeah.
And for me too, I was always my focus was like, hey, do it to make money. I'm a fresh musician. And then finally, I kind of got to a point, especially during COVID, where I was like, I feel like musically, I'm doing everything I want to do except this. And that was having a band that I can go, here's my song, let's work on it. I mean, so the catalyst for that was, okay, start writing songs. And so I just started writing and jamming, and I started working with Miles Jones and Emma Lacefield. And then I pulled on David Ward from Brat Pack. And now we're at a point, so we've been recording with Anthony Ravino over at High Cross Studios, and I have um, two-thirds of the album recorded. So now that Red Hot's done, I'm gonna dive into that. And I'm looking forward to just going to find bands I like and being like, hey, let's play a gig together. I love the whole process. I miss that stuff, but just the camaraderie and building that network like I do with everything else. I want to have a bunch of bands like I used to, 10 years ago, go play together. Hey, I like your band. Let's do a show. oh my God, you got to check out this band. And then those two bands go watch that band and go, you should come play with us. Or going out of town and seeing a band I like and going, hey, you should come. Because like professionally, if I see a musician I like, I can walk up and go, you like Scott Hines from the Royal Hounds. We're friends because I saw him in Nashville on a Tuesday playing for someone else. And I was like, hi, I'm Guido, blah, blah, blah. And I got to hire them.
Royal
But
Hounds are fantastic too. They're just
what a find, right?
yes,
Well,
yes,
and and I miss that, and but I could do that with people who play, the different kind of gigs. But now I want to do that with original music and just go, hey, you should come play with us, and we're doing this gig. So, and I really enjoy just having an outlet to go, I feel this, and I'm going to make it this song, and you guys, and then to have three other people that are willing to go, I like your song enough to play it. It's like,
yeah,
okay, cool. That gives me the courage. For some reason with this album, even though I've written my whole life, this is like super personal, more so than I think anything I've ever done. So for the first time, I felt really nervous about showing it to anybody. Even my bandmates, it's always been like, well, here's the song, you know.
why do you think
So,
that?
I don't, I think it's because I haven't done it for a long time, and it's a different thing because like I know I could put together a set with a bunch of musicians and do all crazy stuff, but this is just here's something I felt. And
You,
it's not about packing rooms or trying to get a record deal. It's like I just want to play music with my friends and put it out there. So it's like, it's like if I play it and the whole room leaves, it's gonna be like, whoa.
yeah,
So
that is the thing with original artists. That's the vast difference. Well, one of the vast differences between cover bands and original artists or singer-songwriters is that kind of interpersonal argument with yourself that
well,
I think that you have. And
it's also taste. Like if you like folk music and you come see my rock band, you might not like my rock band just because it's folk music. Now in 90s Daughter, we can look around the room and go, okay, we're gonna rock all these people. It's almost
yeah,
it's a difference between baking and cooking. Baking, it's got to be precise. Cooking, you can throw stuff out and go
that's
crazy. So yeah, it's like I said, well, but conversely though, so we've been recording at Anthony's and he turns around and looks at me and goes, dude, that's good groove. You're like, yeah, it's almost like I don't know. It's just like there's just means more because you spent so much time on this and so much, it's you know why? Because I'm not sure. When I'm putting these songs down, I'm not writing them to go, people are gonna love this. Because I know I can write songs that go, people will like this. This is just what I want to write. And so I don't know if they're gonna like it because I'm not trying to make them like it. I'm just trying to write the song I want to write.
I can't wait to hear it. When is this going to be done?
Well, like I said, I'm gonna bite the hammer and start getting on my guitar parts next week. I'm hoping to have something out within the next month or two. Also we're dealing with Ian stuff and trying to figure that stuff out. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just now the onus is on me. I just got to sit and start recording guitar parts. So soon, soon, soon. I was hoping that I'm gonna definitely at least release one song before my birthday.
So a single.
Yes, I have 6 songs written, but I definitely want to put something out just to go, here's what it sounds like. Here's what we're doing. So
Okay. I'm pretty excited about that. I
me too.
cannot wait to hear that. I'm just so interested. I'm curious.
I'm
Very
not
curious.
breaking any ground. It's just straight up rock and roll. It is
Well, I know.
lower though, because we're using like 5-string basses and baritone guitars, but it's just rock and roll, man.
I love original music anyway. So we want to have uh your band or your kids, the kids that you said
Mhm.
were at our when we kick back up original artist. I would call it original artist night, but I think we're going to start having it late afternoon. Um, and we want it to be family friendly this
Like a
time too.
Sunday? Sunday would be
That
great.
way it brings in more people. You have the
Yep.
the families and
No,
and it,
we call it adult hours. I'm in.
yeah. So okay, one more. We're going to wrap this up with us.
Okay.
Where'd the Superman thing come from? That seems to be that seems to be your
Um, yeah, that's my branding.
yeah.
It's kind of morphed over the years. At first, it was just they were cool, really. I mean, I love comic books, always have. Back before it was cool. I was into comic books. And then, I started collecting kind of Superman variant t-shirts, but then it's a couple things. It was like when I first started working for my, playing music full time, there was always stuff to do. Like you could work 20, when you work for yourself, you could work 24 hours a day. There's always something. And, like Superman still takes time to hang out with Lois Lane and have friends. And so that's where it kind of started. But then it kind of morphed into this, to use your talents for good. It's that I like being a musician because I feel we bring joy. And now that I'm doing these other things with the kids and the programs and the scholarships, it's like, you know, Superman could do whatever he wanted, but he chose to do stuff that's really good and kind of be a role model. If I'm saying. And so like for me, the crest is that kind of a reminder, like, hey man, like just, I want to feel like, especially now I'm turning 50, been very retrospective, but I kind of want to feel like, I've done some good, And with the Superman thing, that's what he does. He could take over the world, but he doesn't. He tries to be good. He tries to even like, they call him hokey in the comic books. He's like, well, I don't kill and I don't do things, but I'm like, that's powerful for me. It's that whole like, just be positive, like just try to make the world better. And so that's why Superman's my thing.
I am so glad I asked you that. I mean, like, there's a lot of guessing of why, well, because you love Superman or because Amy, considers you her Superman, I mean, there's all this guessing. But I love that. I'm so glad I asked you that. That clarifies a lot. It really does. That's really cool. I love it. Well, I thank you so much for being on this podcast.
Thank you.
I call it a pop-up podcast because we wanted to do like, really quick because we wanted to really get this out there about Ian. Right. And when is this event, your 50th birthday celebration at the grand opening of the Monkey or Cowboy, whatever?
We'll see. That's Friday, March 29th, tentative time at 7:30 rock time. And again, it's going to be me and a lot of my friends, including 90's daughter and the crew, just jamming, having a good time. I got a bunch of people from out of town coming. And then also the next night at Bunny's, Tom Grasson Band is playing, and the party's going to carry over. The Tom Grasson Band will be definitely a sit-in free-for-all because everyone's going to still be in town. So
that'll be fun.
So my birthday will encompass 2 days, and that's okay.
Yeah, that'll be a blast. Well, and happy 50th, because I know.
Well, thank you.
Blowing in that. It's mind blowing.
I'm just getting started. I feel like 50. Like some people get freaked about getting older. No, I'm honestly like I just feel comfortable now to do stuff.
Yeah, so. I just feel you feel pretty solid. And I in my 50s was a whole life-changing event, but I railroad through all of it. Like I loved my 50s. I don't love some things that occurred when I was in my 50s, but I definitely loved the energy I had and the, going forward and kicking up CU bands of fans and going out and meeting people and all of that. But then come 60s. So,
enjoy the 50s first, Terry. Come on.
Enjoy the 50s.
I will.
All right. Well, Guido, thank you very much.
WKIO, Arcola, Champaign-Urbana, 107.9 FM, and anywhere you drive in the U.S. Easily listen to WKIO through your car's Bluetooth.